For nearly 20 years now, Elder Wapacheaph has been a key figure at Atira. She's not just a mentor or a teacher, she's also a good friend and a go-to source of advice and support for many women. We had the chance to catch up with her at the Waaban house, which is part of Atira's outreach program for Indigenous women. Waaban means sunrise, and stepping into the place feels like getting wrapped in a warm hug. Elder Wapacheaph plays a big part in creating that welcoming atmosphere. Despite facing her own struggles, she's found solace in helping others. Our conversation with her shed light on her important role at Atira and how supporting other women has been a source of strength for her.
Wapacheaph.
Wapacheaph.
Yeah.
Wow, so nice. What does it mean?
Shining eyes.
Shining eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have the shining eyes.
Well, I have hazel eyes.
Yes.
So I guess it was my father's name and his father's name. He passed away, and I thought, I need to feel connection to my father. How can I do that? He's gone. And then I thought, I'll see if I can use his name. And I asked my two uncles, and they said it belongs to you already, being the eldest. So I had a sweat lodge over on Vancouver Island, and I did a feast to acknowledge that that was my name. And this fall, in August, I'll go home, and on our land, I'll do the same thing. I'll acknowledge, the people there will acknowledge that I've taken my father's name and my grandfather's name.
That is a beautiful name. What is the journey of Wapacheaph been with Atira?
Wow. It's been my life. I have dedicated whatever time I have had with Maxine Wright to putting women first and being a servant to them, being the helper that I never had when I was going through that 42 years ago. It hasn't been an easy route because of the brokenness, but it's been a direction that has helped me as well. You don't just give to people. A part of that always comes back to you. I look forward to receiving the benefits of helping other women. It's been something that most of the women who serve the women acquire when we help others.
You've been with Atira for 20 years, almost.
I think almost 20
Almost
years.
20 years. It wasn't until last year that you realized why you are here.
Well, several years ago, Sarah Louie, she was our program manager then at Maxine Wright, and she came to me and she said, Glenda, why are you working for Atira? And it was such a, like one of those, Like my mind was empty, like I had no idea. And I said to her, you know what, Sarah? When I find out, I'm going to let you know. And last year, I realized why I worked for Atira and why I've stayed working for Atira. When I first came to Atira, I was broken myself. I hadn't had any drinks or drugs. I had had a lot of time trying to recover. I grew up in Saskatchewan, and I felt always like oppressed and belittled as a little girl, as a young woman, as a woman, because I lived through a lot of oppression and abuse. And when you live through that, you don't know who you are. And that's one of the things that I have learned that has been given back to me, is that I know who I am as a woman now. And I don't want to be someone else. I just know who I am now. That I am an Indigenous woman who has struggled for 69 years. It wasn't until I realized that in helping a broken woman that I was actually fixing myself. Went back to school. I am in school. Whatever I learn, I like to teach to other people, other women. And so it's kind of like I've become a whole woman, not just a broken woman anymore. As I give, I heal. And that's what Atira has given me, so many opportunities. And that touches me still, because it was so much life spent trying to figure out who I was. And it's taken so long for me to feel good about being a woman, to feel good about, even body parts,
Yes.
because
Yes.
those things were so abused. And I'm ever so grateful. When I come to work, I walk in and I say, thank you, Creator, for another opportunity to help somebody.
Giving and healing. Can you tell us more about some of those pain and stories that you endured for audience to know what you are going through or you went through?
Both my parents were residential school survivors, and I'm a 60 scoop survivor. Both my parents, sort of succumbed from their pain and became alcoholics. And so that left myself growing up really fast and learning to take care of myself, sleeping in parks and wherever I could find some security. But I always had this understanding inside of me that I could change. Things would get better and I was a strong woman and I could do it. And I lived in an alcoholic relationship, had 3 children with this man. I remember years into my sobriety and after I had divorced this person, and I felt this venomous feeling inside of hate and unresolved life issues. And it was the first time that I realized that he was broken too, and that hurting people hurt people. I said, unfortunately, we were 2 broken people, and
Wow.
we couldn't make a life together.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of like one broken thing after another. Broken childhood, broken youth, broken marriage. And I decided with my oldest son that I would change my life. I had to have some faith. And so now I have 2 beautiful children. I have my oldest son who passed away 2 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Of drug addiction. And I have 8 grandchildren now who are, my light. They're everything to me.
Wow.
And I'm helping raise my oldest son who passed away, his daughter.
It amazes me how even though after all these pain and losses and you lost your son, very painful for a mother, you experienced a very traumatic childhood, you experienced a traumatic marriage and so on and so on. But I still see a hope in you. You continue to be here and show up for women, for individuals who are vulnerable, for yourself and your healing. What is hope? Why are you still hopeful?
Life is not easy. And I think that's the testing that we have in order to gain strength. And that's what I try to teach the women that I work with, is that everything has a teaching, everything. When you're going through a hard time, take a deep breath, and whatever's happening to me, right at this moment, I'm going to learn something that is going to help me through this difficult time so that I can teach somebody else how to get through it. And I think here at Atira, that's what we do. Whatever we learn, we give away. We never keep anything to ourselves. What's the point? We're not going to get rich off that experience, but we'll get rich if we can give it to another woman so that they can experience success, healing, hope.
Faith is always around you. Can you elaborate more on that?
I had this experience where I was praying because I didn't know what to do. The illustration that the Creator put in front of me, it was just like, He's going to see that this is what's going on because it's such a truthful experience. But when I told the person about the experience, they had not a clue what I was talking about, and it was right there in front of them. And later on, I just thought, what happened? But that experience was not to give him faith. That experience was to give me faith, to build my faith. That would say, I made that happen, not for him. I made it happen for you. When we ask for help, it's about us. It's not about whatever we're praying for. It's about us understanding the situation.
You're one of the longest member of Atira who's providing advice and support and healing towards women. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and how your influence has been effective, or at least the way you've seen it?
Well, sometimes it's not about what they've experienced. It's just loving them and giving to them and helping them to meet their basic needs. And when you can help them meet their basic needs, then they can come up to the next step. And they're more open to an invitation to come to circle or to learn to drum. I had a woman who, she was addicted, and she had 2 children that she lost. And she was coming to group, and little by little you could see a transformation happening. And it wasn't just from me, it was happening as a group, that everybody was sort of feeding her that it's possible. Feeding her faith. That's probably the best way to put it. Feeding her faith that it happened for us, it can happen for you. She was in our group for about 2 years, and she came and she didn't talk a great deal. And then, I don't know, this was a long time later, 6, 7 years. I even had time to forget who she was as I'm aging. And this woman came knocking on my door, and I said, "Oh, come in." She stuck her head in. She goes, "Hi, Glenda." And I'm like, "I don't remember you. I didn't say that." And she said, "I just wanted to come by and thank you." And I said, "Oh, that's good." And I still didn't know who she was. And she said, "I was in your group." And she said, "And you and the women helped me so much." And she said, "You always talked about getting an education and how important it was for us to look at the medicine wheel and to realize that we needed to work on that side too." So she said, "I went back to school." And she says, 5 years later, I'm now a registered nurse and I work at UBC. And I was like, whoa, that is so awesome. And those success stories, like every woman that comes here has a success story. Through all of that, she was able to get an education.
It's about the journey, right? Because I always thought it's about the journey, because it's not, yes, we all want happy ending, but there's always ending. If you have to end this interview with a message, what would that be?
Give it away. Don't keep it for yourself, because you can't take anything with you. Whatever you learn in life, give it to another woman, give it to a child, so that they can grow. I understand now that everything I have, I will give it away.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.